All right, let's dive into one of the weirdest feelings the human brain can cook up. That strange glitch in the matrix moment we call déjà vu.
You know the feeling, right? You're in a totally new place, maybe talking to someone you've just met, and bam! This wave of intense familiarity just washes over you. It feels so real, so powerful, like you've absolutely been there, done that. So, what is actually going on?
Well, first things first, if this happens to you, you're not alone. Not even close. You're actually in the vast majority. Something like 70% of us have experienced this exact sensation. It's one of the most common, yet weirdly personal mysteries out there.
So, to make sure we're all on the same page, let's get the official definition down. The term is déjà vu. It's French, and it literally means already seen. And that's pretty much perfect, isn't it? It's that spooky feeling that a totally new, fresh event is somehow an old memory. But get this, déjà vu has a bizarre opposite cousin. It's called jamais vu, which means never seen. Now, this is when something you know inside and out suddenly feels completely alien and unfamiliar. You ever stare at a super common word like house for so long that it starts to look like nonsense? Yeah, that's jamais vu. Just another kind of brain glitch.
So how in the world does science explain something as weird as déjà vu? Well, let's start with the leading theories from neuroscience. A lot of them point to it being a kind of temporary processing error, basically a glitch in your brain's wiring.
The first idea is actually pretty simple and elegant. It's sometimes called the split-second delay theory, and it all comes down to a tiny, tiny lag in your brain's communication system.
Okay, think of it like this. All the information from your eyes and ears is supposed to arrive at the processing part of your brain at the exact same time, like a perfectly synced movie. But what if one of those signals gets delayed by just a millisecond? Your brain gets the first signal and goes, okay, new moment happening now. Then, a split second later, it gets the exact same signal and thinks, whoa, hold on, I've seen this before? It's literally like your brain is experiencing its own personal audio lag.
Now let's move on to what's probably the front runner in the field right now. This theory says that a very specific part of your brain's memory center just gets a little overexcited for a second.
To really get this, you need to know about two key players in your brain's memory department. You've got the hippocampus. Think of it as the detail-oriented librarian that pulls up specific files. Who, what, where, when. Then you've got the rhinal cortex. Its job is much simpler. It just gives you that gut feeling of familiarity. So, what happens in a misfire? Well, sometimes the rhinal cortex just goes rogue. It fires off a hey, this feels familiar signal all on its own, without actually checking with the hippocampus to see if there's a real memory file there. So you get this incredibly strong sense of recognition, but with zero facts to back it up. It's all feeling, no details.
Okay, so we've got the brain wiring glitches. But some theories say it's less about a misfire and more about our minds just playing tricks on us. Almost like a case of mistaken identity.
This theory is so cool. It suggests that déjà vu isn't triggered by a specific thing, but by the spatial layout of a scene, the whole arrangement. This is called gestalt familiarity, and gestalt is just a German word that basically means the whole picture. Imagine this. You walk into a coffee shop you have never ever been to in your life. But for some reason, the layout, the counter over on the left, a big window on the back, a plant in the corner, is exactly the same as the layout of your grandmother's kitchen. So your brain isn't actually remembering the coffee shop. It can't. It's recognizing the pattern, the blueprint, from somewhere deep in your memory. And that sudden pattern match triggers a false sense of place memory. That's what gives you that jolt of déjà vu.
And for our last theory, this one's pretty wild. It's the idea that déjà vu moments are really just bits and pieces of dreams that we've forgotten. You might have had a dream about a place or a person or a conversation, and then when you woke up, poof, it was gone. But when you run into a similar situation in real life, your brain dredges up that fuzzy, forgotten dream memory, making it feel like you've been there before.
Now that we've got all these fascinating theories, let's get back to you. Who tends to experience déjà vu the most, and why? Science actually gives us some pretty clear clues here.
It turns out a few things make it more likely. First, age. Déjà vu actually peaks when we're between 15 and 25, maybe because our brains are still fine-tuning their memory systems. It's also way more common when you're stressed or tired, probably because a fatigued brain is just more likely to have a little misfire. Frequent travelers also report it more often, which makes sense, right? They're exposed to tons of new spatial layouts, making that gestalt familiarity more likely. And some studies even suggest a link to higher levels of dopamine in the brain. So after all of this, what's the big takeaway here? What should you think the next time it happens to you? Well, science seems to be pointing away from it being a glimpse into a past life or some kind of psychic vision. Instead, it's just a really fascinating quirk of our own incredibly complex minds. So, to sum it all up, when you feel déjà vu, your brain is probably doing one of four things. It's either processing the exact same moment twice because of a tiny delay, or its familiarity circuit is just jumping the gun, or maybe it's recognizing an old floor plan in a brand new place, or, hey, maybe it's just pulling up a vague memory from a dream you had last week.
But here is probably the most reassuring and coolest takeaway of all. Some neuroscientists now think that déjà vu is actually a good sign. It could be your brain's internal fact-checking system working perfectly. It's recognizing a conflict between what feels familiar and what you consciously know is new. That little jolt isn't a mistake. It's the feeling of a healthy mind keeping its own memory files in order. So the next time that wave of already seen hits you, instead of feeling creeped out, you can just kind of smile. You'll know it's not magic, it's just your amazing, complicated brain doing a quick systems check. The real question is, which of these fascinating glitches do you think is happening inside your head?